In this lecture, I'm going to introduce you to the node editor. This is going to be the place where you can create your materials your way. The node editor gives you so much more depth than the materials panel that we covered in the previous lecture, and is a great way for getting meshes to work with your scenes and your lighting. Make a note that this, at the moment, as far as I'm aware, can only be used with the Cycles render engine, and that's the first thing we're going to realise why that's the case. So let's go in to Blender. So I've got my new project started and I'm currently in Blender Render. I'm going to first of all go into the properties panel where we have our materials that we looked at in the last lecture. We can edit all of these options here. However, we want to be able to use a node system, and I'm going to show you the node system now. We're going to drag this out, make sure we do it correctly, there we go, and I'm going to transform this panel into the node editor, which should be just below logic editor and just above text editor. Left click, and we don't need this bit, so we're going to drag it along, and this is our space that we can use to create nodes. However, if I go to the add button and try to add any nodes, we will see that we cannot as yet. That's because we need to enable this function in Blender. Unfortunately, in Blender Render we can't do this because we don't have the option. In order to get the option to use nodes, we have to go to the Cycles render engine. So we're going to click that now, and straight away we can see that the materials panel over here is a lot less congested. We can open this up. If we go to custom properties, we can add properties. We have our preview panel, which, as we can see, looks a little bit different to what it did before, a little bit more detailed actually than in Blender Render. We have surface. Now this time in surface all we have is diffuse color, so we can select a diffuse color of the material and that's it. So if we do that now very quickly, go into material, click diffuse color, choose a red, and there we go. I'm just going to turn that back to white just to keep things simple. So what we have to do is we have to click use nodes. One left click and something's appeared on our node editor screen. Let's zoom in. So now we can use nodes, and whenever you start using nodes you'll get two boxes. The first one I want you to know is the material output. This is by far and away the most important piece of the node editor. The reason why is this is your output button for your materials. Without an output, anything that you do before that, no matter if you have one node or 1,000 nodes where you're trying to get the perfect material, if you do not have a material output, then that material will not be applied to your object. It will not. Okay guys, so make sure that you always have your material output, and you have three options: surface, volume and displacement. For now all we're going to worry about is making sure that it is attached to the surface node. The second one is our diffuse shader. So now we have our shader in the form of a box. So we have our own box where we can select the color and roughness. So roughness basically means the more you increase the roughness, the more randomized light will bounce off your object. Doesn't make too much difference though at this point to the diffuse shader on its own. So there's our introduction to the node editor. In the next couple of lectures we're going to be going over other nodes that we can use to help create better objects. Thanks guys, and I will see you in the next lecture.